Again, welcome. Really nice to see all of you. We're here for a webinar all about weight training, specifically for older adults. You know, what is weight training? What does it include? And what exercises should I be doing? We're going to talk for about half an hour or so, and I'll introduce the lady to my left in a minute. My name's Erin from Vintage Fitness. I know a lot of you, and I'm really glad that you took the time to come. Thank you. So for the people that are newer to Vintage Fitness, we only work with older adults. We're really quite specialized. So all of our clients are over 65. I think our oldest, Sid, who's our oldest? Is 98? Do we have a
Yes, 98. Right.
98 is where we're at. So if you can if you're 99, we really want you to become a client.
And Frankie, don't worry, you and I are the only men in the group, but that's perfect.
Clients do achieve their health goals with us, but we always preface that it is slow and steady wins the race. So we're not the 90-day transformation. We're not the building the bikini body. We are how is your body letting you down? And what can we do to help be able to do all the activities that you love that maybe you can't do anymore? So it's small incremental steps that over time, it's just incredible the difference that it can make. I've done this work for almost 20 years, and I'm still actually pretty amazed most days at the impact that that exercise can have for older adults. And
just double check, make sure I have a co-host, because I don't see any admits coming.
Okay, that's all right. I'm kind of letting them in.
Okay, good. Okay.
And as I mentioned, we've been doing this for a while. So the company was founded in 2005. And we've been working with older adults since that time, like 19 years, I guess. Okay. So did you want to do these ones?
Maybe? Sure. Okay, so hi, everybody. This webinar is for you if you've heard that you should be weight training, but maybe you find the gym intimidating or you don't know where to start. Maybe you've had a setback that has you wondering if weight training is safe for you, or you're wondering if you're doing enough, or if you're doing too much, or if you're just simply curious to learn more about how you can up your game with strength training as a senior.
That's great. All right, so let me, before Leigh gets into all her credentials, Leigh has been working, you know, with Vintage Fitness here and there for a number of years. She is a certified trainer. She's a kinesiologist, got a kin degree, and her approach is very similar to mine. So we're kindred spirits in terms of how we approach a lot of seniors' health and fitness. And we're both West Enders, so lots of connections there.
So we thought we'd get together for this one. All right. So yeah, as Erin mentioned, I'm an older adult fitness specialist. I do have a degree in kinesiology from Western. I graduated in '98. And since that time, over the last 20 years, I've worked full-time with seniors, both in a group capacity and one-on-one, 20 years and counting. As such, I've come to understand many of the common concerns we have as we age, from joint pain, stiffness, changes in balance and posture, and more, and how to mitigate some of these changes through movement and mindfulness. My clients have received immense physical benefits from our work, and the mental benefits have been incredibly tangible too. And I believe that movement is medicine and that it can unlock much of our human potential to feel our very best. I think most of you here probably feel that same way. And if you don't, hopefully we'll turn you around by the time this game's over today. All right. So are we ready? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to start with a little pop quiz here, okay? You didn't expect that, did you? Okay, so first and foremost, I want to check your weight training knowledge. So we're going to do one page at a time, and I'm going to ask you, which of the following pictures would you say depict weight training? So choose all that apply. So you can either unmute yourself or pop it in the chat. Which of these two pictures, A and B, depict weight training?
We
All
got
right.
both.
Karina says both, A and B. Okay. Good answers. Good, good. I'm stumping a couple people. Uh-huh. Lots of good ones. Anybody else want to throw their hat in there? All right. Okay, so this one here is a tricep pull down. That is for sure weight training. And this one here is kind of a trick question because they're doing a push-up, but they're on the playground. And that, of course, is weight training too, even though it's using body weight. All right. So everybody who said both wins a prize. High fives.
Yeah.
And actually A and B were both right too. So there you go. All right, next one.
And I guess that one of the reasons I think that's a really cool thing to think about is that if you look at guidelines like Canada Health Guidelines, they talk about you hear weight training, you hear strength training, you hear resistance training, and sometimes it's hard to figure out that all of three of those are the same thing. So don't get confused if someone says you need to strength train so many times a week, you need to use resistance training. It's all the same. It's the same.
Yeah, exactly. So there's your hint. Okay, C and D, which ones? Oh, sorry. Getting all excited. C and D, which one or which ones are strength training? And pop it in the chat.
Okay, we got some C, both, C, both again. I like the exclamation mark. Nice to see you, Barbara. We should have the game music.
I know, do, do, do.
C, nice.
Okay, good, yeah. She looks so happy, weight training. That's how we should all look. We're doing the weights. All right, good. Okay, good job, everybody. If you said C, you are correct. That's your classic bench press, chest press. Way to go. I tried to stump you because we did say body weight exercises are also weight training, but this gentleman here is doing a stretch for his shoulder and he's hanging out on the mat. His weights are beside him, so I thought that might get a couple of you.
And his hips are very tight.
Yeah, but not bad. He can sit cross-legged, so he's doing all right. All right, next one. Doing great so far. Okay, E and F. Which one or ones are strength training or weight training or resistance training? All the same thing. Oh, and Barbara says she's not ignoring you.
Yes.
Okay, lots of takers on this one. Anybody else? Both.
We have a theme. E.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good job.
Both.
Okay, thanks, Dee. If you said both, you're right. So we're using exercises, machines in the gym with E, and resistance band training is weight training as well. So again, sometimes people feel intimidated by the word weight training and they think it has to be like heavy pumping iron, which, you know, if you can get there, that's amazing. We'd like to get you there. But you can start with things like resistance bands, soup cans. We'll get to all that stuff. Good job. All right, just a couple more. G, H, or both of them. We're getting the hang of this for sure.
That's great that everyone participating.
I know. It's fun. Do, 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 do.
Both, yeah. H for sure. Not sure about G. Good honesty there. Both. H.
All right, anyone else? Okay, amazing. We got a lot of correct answers there. H is the correct answer in this group. The gentleman in the first picture is on the treadmill. So that's more of a cardiovascular exercise. Of course, he is using his muscles a little bit, but he's not actually doing a weight training exercise. The lady in the second picture is doing a lovely deep squat, which is weight for sure.
I think one of the important things here is that unfortunately, walking has a lot of amazing benefits, and I'm a huge walker and I love walking and I love getting outside. So I'm not against walking. It's an integral part of all of our fitness regimes in our lives, but it's not enough for your fitness. You need to have some sort of resistance training, as Dee's showing. You can do it in a million different ways, but saying I go for a walk every day and that covers all my fitness needs, it doesn't. Unfortunately.
It definitely covers some of them, but yeah, for today, we're talking about muscles. Okay, one more set here. I and J. Oh, yeah, so which one of those two or both is strength training? See, look at how much fun they're having. Okay, we got some both.
I think they're getting the gist of the
Yes.
game.
I don't think we stumped anybody on this one. Okay, so yes, you all got this one right. Both of them are strength training. The gentleman in the first one is, of course, using a kettlebell, which is weighted. It counts as weight training, strength training, resistance training. And the lady in the second one is doing a fabulous plank and having fun doing it. And that is a wonderful way to strengthen your core. Good job. All right. So now that we have everyone's attention, we'll continue on with what is weight training? And we already covered some of it in our chats here, but weight training is an exercise in which muscles of the body are recruited to contract under tension. And it's for the purpose of improving strength or stimulating growth, power, and endurance, or all of the above. And as we mentioned, the term is synonymous with resistance training, strength training, and lifting. And some of them sound more intimidating than others. So if pumping iron feels intimidating or out of reach for you, it's not. We can show you where to start. And there's lots of other ways that you can build strength and muscle. So we went over this a little bit already, but what exercises are classified as weight training? Body weight exercises, resistance bands, exercises using dumbbells, kettlebells, or barbells, gym machine exercises using cables and weight stacks, and you can always get creative. Use your pet, your grandkid, as long as they're compliant. Soup cans, water jugs, et cetera, et cetera. Anything with weight, including your own body weight. All right, and just remember, if you have any questions, feel free to just pop them in there anytime and we'll answer them. All right, so we're just going to get into a couple of different terms just so that we can share some new tips after today. Isometric versus isotonic exercises. Generally, you'll have both in your exercise program, but just want to distinguish the difference between them and that they both still count as weight training. So isometric contractions, it means one length. So once you've established the contraction, you hold the contraction and you don't release it and contract again. So the muscle doesn't lengthen. And we saw an example of that in the previous pictures. I'm just wondering if you can think of an example of a strength exercise in which you hold the contraction. Any takers? And you can unmute and shout it out with glee, or you can pop it in the chat.
The last photo, I think it was the last one where she was doing a plank.
Exactly. Yes. So that's a perfect example of an isometric contraction. Can you think of any other exercise that maybe you're doing in your regime right now that could count as one? Maybe up against the wall for your legs. The wall sit is another good classic one. Everybody's favorite, right? Okay, and then isotonic contractions are more typically seen in a program. More of the exercises are based on isotonic contractions. So that could be when the muscle shortens and lengthens, and the shortening phase is called a contraction, a concentric contraction, and the lengthening phase is called the eccentric contraction. Can you think of an example of this type of exercise? Bicep curls. Yes, perfect. All
And
right.
it might be worth talking a bit about, sometimes trainers will give counts, like they'll say, like maybe explain why sometimes they'll say 4 seconds, like how fast people should be doing it, or the fact that concentric and eccentric we play around with the timing. a
Oh
little
yeah, for
bit.
sure. And we're definitely going to get to that.
Okay, I'm jumping the gun.
Just jumping the gun. All right. So as we mentioned, these are some of the examples. So you got it, plank, bicep curls, also wall sit, wall push-ups, most of the other exercises in the gym. All right. Some benefits of effective weight training. Hopefully most of you know a lot of the benefits already, but there might be some surprises here. And then you can also share this video with people that you think would like to get moving, but don't know where to start, or need a little bit of encouragement in terms of all the different benefits of strength training and how to get started. So first and foremost, when we work with the older adult population, we really focus on functional training and just making life a little easier for you. So all your movements, oh, I'll let someone in, should feel a little bit easier once you have muscle on your body. Muscle tone and development. It's nice to get lean muscle and to lean out and have your clothes fit nicely. A metabolism boost, which goes along with fat loss and weight management. So muscles burn calories at rest, which is just a wonderful extra bonus for muscles. Reduction in joint pain. You'll notice that once you take too long a break from working out, that you start to get sore again and stiff. And so it's incredible. You think you're going to be more sore from working out, but it's quite the opposite. Better bone health, fat loss, as I mentioned, weight management. Some other bonuses you might not think about include better posture and alignment, better balance from the core strength, and greater body awareness, improved confidence and mood, and improve cognitive function. And finally, last but not least, strength.
I noticed a question come in the chat here. Look at that. Oh, how long is the webinar? We're going to talk for about half an hour, and then there'll be questions. All
right. Some variables in a weight training program. So when we're putting together your programs, we're looking at a number of different things. And this is sort of the reason why we think it's good to get support at first, because there's so many things to consider. So first and foremost, exercise selection. Generally, we try to choose exercises that work the major muscle groups in your body, address any imbalances you currently have, and build a solid foundation of strength, front to back, side to side, top to bottom. So we're very specific about which exercises we choose and work around the major muscle groups. Next is the amount of weight or resistance. And it's important to work with where you're starting from. Generally, we listen to you in terms of how challenging is this weight. We can tell if you're saying it's hard, but it's actually easy. And when it gets easy, we want to progress, which we'll get to a little bit later. The number of times you do an exercise in a set, the number of sets you do, and as Erin was touching on before, how fast are you performing the movement? So you may notice that when you do it quickly, it's a lot easier and it helps you get it over with. But if you go slower and with more control, you can get more muscular endurance and control and body awareness. The interval between the sets, and finally the interval between the sessions. So the amount of time between the training days. All right, any questions? Lots of things to consider. All right. So tips to weight train effectively and enjoyably. First and foremost, we look at what are some of your interests and what's in your comfort level in terms of where are you comfortable working out? Is it in your living room? Is it in a gym? Is it somewhere else? What types of equipment do you want to learn about? And are you interested in? Because guess what? If you are interested in it, you're much more likely to do it. So we like this. Then we consider any injuries straight off the bat or any pains to make sure that they're worked with and around. We recommend making the most of your warm-up time, especially if you have a lot of stiffness or soreness, but always warming up, making sure you have your circulation flowing, your heart pumping a bit, you're feeling a little bit warm before you start lifting your weights.
And joints lubricated.
That too. This one's a big one for me in my training, paying attention to the exercises and how they feel as you do them. Eventually you start to enjoy the feeling of your muscles contracting when you pay attention to this. It also helps for injury prevention because you get really in tune with your body and how it feels every day. And when things start to get a little easy, then you know when it's time to keep on upping your game. Addressing all the major muscle groups, as I mentioned, including that core. And we also touched on this before. When we're training, we're focusing on helping you achieve your daily activities with greater ease. Things like getting in and out of the car, getting up and off the floor, up and down the stairs. So, it's not just for show. It's not just for beach body, which, is a nice bonus if you like that. But we want you to feel comfortable doing everything you want to be able to do and enjoy it. Have a greater quality of life. Focusing on time under tension is another tip to weight train effectively. So that comes back to that body awareness and noticing how slowly and with control you can perform the movement, starting with a manageable load and gradually increasing the weight. And here's a good one too. If it's been a while since you've weight trained, or if you're new to it, or you're just starting again, forget what you think you should be able to do and just notice what's happening now, right? And you'll get there again, but you might just have to take some baby steps first, and we can help you with that. Avoid exercising to exhaustion. Most of us don't overdo it. We quit early, but yeah, just, it's good to say. And remember, your muscles need rest days to repair and develop. Anything to add there, Erin?
No.
All right.
No, it's good.
All right. So, does anybody know what progressive overload is? Oh, not the trainers on here. Oh, yes. Improving stability. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's another bonus of strength training.
Absolutely.
Nice, Barbara.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's probably way more things to put on the list too, right? But that was already a pretty long one. It's just not, yeah. All right. Okay, so progressive overload. Progressive overload is what I was talking about before when an exercise starts to get easy. This is the reason why when someone asks us to design a program for them that they can perform for the rest of their life, that it doesn't really work that way, because after you do it for 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to get easy. And if you keep doing that, that's fine. You will maintain some level of strength, and it's definitely better than nothing. But wouldn't it be cooler if you could just get stronger each year that you're here? That's what we tend to see if we use the progressive overload principle, that like someone's stronger when they're 80 than when they're 70, because we just slowly, gradually do it over time. So progressive overload involves gradually increasing the intensity or difficulty of the workouts over time. And the goal is to maximize results by regularly challenging the body to continue to build strength over time. As you build strength from performing a program, the weights start to feel easy, and then it's time to move to heavier ones. And don't worry, you're not going to get bulky or huge. Like, you can stay lean and strong. Unless you want to get bulky and huge, you could probably help with that. But anyway, so for example, if you're doing 8 to 12 reps of bicep curls with like 5-pound weights, And then after a while, it feels easy. You're going to want to up it to 8. And you're going to feel like a rest is welcomed after the end of the set. If you suddenly upped it to 15 pounds and you can only do 2 or 3, then that's too much. So we find that place in the middle. All right. Progressive overload. It sounds so scary, but it's really not. Okay, signs of overtraining. As I mentioned, most of us aren't doing this, but some people think that more is better, and there's an all or nothing mentality here. So when you want your results, you just go gangbusters, right? And so you want to work out every single day and get your body exactly as you like it in 2 weeks. But that can lead to a lot of injuries, and this is a sign of overtraining and extreme muscle soreness. When muscle soreness is happening, that's when you're supposed to let your body rest so that your muscles can repair and grow. Signs of undertraining. This is more common for most of us because we have the best intentions, and that's why accountability is so great, and support, and a network of people and a community like you guys have. Signs of undertraining. The weights you're lifting still feel easy at the end of the set. You're not progressing to greater strength, even though it's slowly and steadily usually. And like I mentioned, if you take too long in between workouts, you can feel achy, sore, and stiff. So we'll talk about rest days and what we recommend in terms of how many workouts and how many rest days. Questions? Okay. Rest days. Okay, when we say rest days, do we mean lying on the couch? No, we do not. We just mean we're going to rest those muscles that we worked the day before. And if you just did a lower body workout, technically you could still work your upper body the next day, but we would help you decide what kind of a program that looks like. So generally, if you're doing a full body workout, you want to give those muscles a rest the next day. Recovery after weight training is essential to muscle and tissue repair and strength building. But by all means, enjoy your walks, enjoy your yoga, enjoy your pickleball, golf. These things are great things to do on rest days. You're still giving your muscles a break, but you're still getting your body moving, and you can get all the other benefits of walking and the other exercise that we talked about. So how often can you aim to weight train? A minimum of 2 to 4 times per week, if you can, depending on your stamina, your body feedback, and your current capabilities. Okay, well, we did say what exercises we thought we might recommend for you.
There's a question about walking. Should you walk on weight training days?
Oh yeah, should you walk on weight training days? Very good question. You can absolutely walk on weight training days. You can walk every day. And it's a wonderful idea to try and get in the habit. It's so good for your body and your mind. And then once you get doing it, your body really loves that feeling. We're made to walk. We're made to move. It's a great way to just get extra physical activity in. I sometimes recommend that you pair it up with an after dinner walk with someone in your family, and then you've got the bonus of that quality time, something else that lines up with another value of yours that you really want to, focus on and honor. These are some of my favorite beautiful weight training basics. As you can see, you don't need weights at all for them. In building a foundation, these are wonderful. The bridge with the lady in the second picture at the top, you're building your solid foundation, your glutes. These are wonderful supports and propellers for us, for our movements. You're also working your hamstrings. I love it too because your spine is elongating and you're supported on the mat.
And it's probably worth mentioning, if you start working with us, if you haven't been down on the floor in a long time, it's a skill that will slowly get you towards. So we're not going to come on the first day for you, or, you're 80, 9-year-old parent and say, all right, get on the floor. We understand that getting on the floor and up off the floor can be really challenging.
Yeah.
There are other ways to work your glutes and hamstrings. Being able to get on and off the floor is an important skill, but not one that we assume that you can do right off the top.
Absolutely. And there are modifications for all of these exercises, and I'll just go over a couple of them here. So actually, Joanne sent a message in here. If you have difficulty getting down on the floor, can you do the exercises on a bed? Very good question. Yes, you can. And also sometimes we'll use a massage table. So that's another great way to do it. Or yeah, but the bed is a good way to do it. And again, we'd assess whether it was the time for that or not. Sit to stands, the first one there, that can be done with a walker at first because it's higher up and you have arm rests. So that's a good way to make it a little bit more accessible to start. And then you can gradually go down a little lower and eventually maybe not use your arms. So that is amazing.
Steve was asking, what do you recommend for abs?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the planks are great. And again, you can modify them. They don't have to start at the floor. So you can do it on a counter, like the counter push-ups. You can do it on like stairs and gradually make your way down. The bird dog there does get the abs some and also the lower back and the glutes. So it's a nice one. That's the one at the bottom where you're working the core muscles as a team. So it's nice to incorporate the abs within that team. Any other ab exercises that
You're missing out on? You can do a side plank as well, which is, with your elbow down. So you can do that with your knees down. So try to get your abs, of course, they're multifaceted. There's lots of different abs in there. So trying to get the ones in the front, but also the ones, obliques on the side is important as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of great ones that you can even do in the chair, like just a V-sit, leaning back a little bit, Pilates type exercise, more from the floor. Oh, we've got lots of ideas for you. Don't worry, Steve. Oh, that's a good question, Catherine. Does rows mean rowing? No, actually, the rows I was thinking of, and that's really great that you asked that question because I wouldn't have thought of that, and that makes sense. Would be something like with the band, a seated row where you're pulling your arms back and you're squeezing your back. So it's for your upper back. You can also do it with a weight where you're leaning over. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to strengthen the upper back with the row, but you wouldn't move your body around like you would in a rowing exercise.
Yeah.
It's such a good one.
And I'll share I'll put our YouTube channel in when I send the recording because there's hundreds of exercises in there. So if you're unfamiliar with some of these, they're on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and so these weight training basics here, some of the other ones, like basically this is like kind of a full body workout here where you do have some chest, some back, lower back, abs, glutes, lower body, and then biceps and triceps and shoulders. So we try to hit all those marks. Oh, okay. Another question. What are Supermans or V-sit? Okay. Supermans and V-sit aren't in these pictures. As Erin mentioned, you will be able to find most of those on the website. But Supermans are when you're lying on your tummy. And there's a variety of ways that you can do lower back extensions, lifting your chest off the floor like Iron Man, or bringing your arms out in front like Superman or Superwoman. And then a V-sit is just leaning back a little bit in your chair, kind of like a reverse crunch. So instead of coming up from the floor, you're going down from your chair, leaning back. And that works your abdominals and your lower back.
I'll send videos for both of those.
As long as you promise to do them.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Those are great questions. Any other questions there? And these are just some of many. There's so many other, but I just wanted to share some. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Erin here to tell you about some top mistakes older adults make when training.
Yeah, so over the 20 years, the mistakes that we see, and Dee and Sid, please chime in here, because you're You see a lot of the similar kind of things that come up. So they don't do it. So the fact that you're on this webinar and you're interested in it is fantastic start. So the last time I looked at the research, 20% of Canadians strength train, which is pretty terrible. So we have kind of 80% of people not seniors, people over 65 in Canada, not weight training at all. So a lot of people just don't do it, and because they're worried about it getting injured, they're not sure how to do it. I get why, but it feels like such a shame because it, as we talked about, it has such immense benefits. So the first thing I see that they don't do it, they lift too light. So, you know, people pull out the 1 pound weights, and if you have a wrist injury and you're rehabbing that wrist injury, 1 pound weights are absolutely appropriate. Most women's handbags weigh between 9 and 12 pounds. So if you're lifting your 1 pound weights and then you heave your 9 pound handbag on your arm, you're just not training for your life. You know, we do weight training so that your life doesn't exhaust you, so that when you take the stairs up the TTC, you go downtown to see your friend, you know, you go to the theater, you carry your glass of wine to the, you know, all of these things are easy. Versus because you're strong and you're doing all the strength training, as opposed to life feeling exhausting. Doing all the things you want to do feels exhausting. So you just have to lift heavy enough that it you can do all the things, activities that you love to do. Only train the front of the body. So, you know, if you're training on your own and someone isn't giving you a program, sometimes you think, you're looking in the mirror and you're like, okay, I'm going to do chest and I'm going to do a squat. So I'm going to do quads. And then, oh, I got to do my abs. And all of a sudden, all of the probably most important things, your back, your hamstrings, your calves, your glutes, they all get ignored, and it's for overtraining. And then you create another problem, which is you're stronger on one side of the body than you are on the other. So you get all of this kind of thing happening. You start slouching, and I think all of us can picture the weight trainers, the bodybuilders that end up kind of
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
bicep curls,
Yeah.
push-ups, and most of us are already tighter and stronger through the front of the body because, you know, we're on our computers or our phones a lot, so we need to counterbalance with more back strength.
Yeah, so most trainers would almost double the amount they're doing on the back side of the body to the front, just knowing our tendencies for computer work, for driving, all of these forward hunching postures. Ignore balance training. So that is really a critical point. Anyone, you know, really over 50, but over 65 for sure should have some balance training, and you can improve your balance. We've done lots of webinars on balance, but you need to have balance training as part of your training. The other thing I'd say about balance training is there's certain ways to assess balance, and then there's certain ways to train balance. They're not always the same. They can be. So just make sure you do a bit of research on, oh, this is a balance assessment, and this is actually the exercises I'm going to do to improve my balance. That's an important distinction, and we can get more into that. They neglect functional strength movements. So, you know, if I am going on my trip to Europe and I want to walk on the cobblestone streets and then climb up the stairs to see the beautiful thing that I've always wanted to see, we train you for that activity. So standing and doing a bicep curl is not going to help you go on the cobblestone streets and walk up the stairs, right? So really think about what do I want to do with my, what activities do I love? What do I want to be able to do? And then train functionally, train for that particular movement. And we have a lot of fun with this. Like, people go on trips and we're like, all right, what are you going to do? Oh, I have to climb onto a boat. All right, you got to stoop. You got to balance on one foot. You know, you got to, I want to, like, there was a get on a camel once. And I'm like, oh man, what do you have to do to get on a bloody camel? I don't know. So we just like, we'll work through those things to say, well, what's functional? You want to get on a camel? I had to look it up.
Or an
elephant.
So yeah.
You have to have the mobility in your hips to swing the leg. Got to, whatever, all the things. I can't remember now, but I remember thinking, oh,
I love that.
So Dee or Sid, do you think I missed anything? Something that you see?
I think you missed something. In case you're not convinced already that strength training is so vital to you, Stanford University did an extensive study of people aging, and they found that strength training over cardio training for people getting older, getting senior, helped and improved their ability to resist disease and their ability to resist injury. So strength training had it over cardio training by far as you age. So that's very important. So if you're not already convinced, you better convince yourself.
But don't take over the cardio training in between.
Yes.
But
did
the
have another
cardio
one.
training actually comes from the strength training. It'll be part of that. So if you don't do any cardio and you just do strength, you're much better off. You're much further ahead than if you do cardio.
And another thing on that note is when you're strength training, like, there are ways that we can add a little cardio in. Like when you get your arms up above your chest, it's 30% more work for your heart. So weights overhead, if that's doable for you, and we would determine that, 30% more work for your heart. So yeah.
I always do, often do all my weight training with a squat as well. In other words, work the upper and lower body at the same time. So if you were doing a bicep curl, you do it with a squat.
Yes.
So you're doing the two together. And the one thing I would love to add to that was, and it's a bit naughty, but I think the top mistake older adults make with weight training is that they don't get a trainer to tell them to do it properly first. I think that's so, so, so important.
That's
and
a
to
really
work it
good
out.
point. Yeah.
It's a really, really important thing. And I would love to push Vintage Fitness because I've worked with them for how long have I been with you, Erin?
Oh,
13 years or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah. If
But
you
it-
are
it
thinking
really-
about getting started and you do need some support, which if you haven't had any, you probably, Vintage Fitness is a great place to start to.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. So as I mentioned, and this is on our website, so the link, and I'll put the link in our in the recording when I send you the email tomorrow. But it's just, if you type Vintage Fitness on YouTube, there's hundreds of exercises, hundreds of videos. I will look for the Supermans and V-sits and send those on to you. But just if you're looking for videos and things, YouTube is a good place to go. Lots of great questions as we've gone through. So thank you very much for that. We have one, how long between sets?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. So many good questions. I love this. Okay. How long between sets? It really will depend, but generally 20 to 30 seconds, I would say. Yeah. I'm kind of mean. Sometimes you can do another exercise in between, not to complicate things, but then you don't really get a break. I'm sure that's what Dee does.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
But you get a break for that muscle. So you could do your biceps, then you could do your triceps, and then you go back.
Exactly.
So it usually takes about 30 seconds to do a set of something, and that's about how long your rest would be.
Great.
I think it's important to point out that Dee is one of our trainers. And if you look at the two ladies who've given the seminar, Dee looks the same age as them, but Dee's in her 80s. So I think that's important.
Thank you, Sid.
Yeah. Goals.
Okay. Does endurance become better as you work along with an exercise program?
Oh my goodness, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're
Yes.
slow and controlled movement, you're getting muscular endurance. And so like we said, everything does feel easier, everything. Walking, running, catching the train,
Absolutely.
lifting your grandkids, all of it, all the good stuff.
Yeah. Amazing. Any other questions, either by unmuting yourself or in the chat? I do aquafit several times a week because of arthritis. How effective is it for strengthening? Great question. Yes.
So aquafit is effective for strengthening your muscles to some degree. It's nice if it's really painful with arthritis as a place to start. If there's some improvement with your aquafit classes and you're able to do some on land as well, then I think you could slowly and progressively keep growing towards your goals in terms of strength gains. And it's also still great for your arthritis, even though I know it hurts at first, to
I mean,
improve.
I would say, and I would use resistance in the water. That's how you get stronger in the water. So get those funny looking web gloves.
Yes.
Get the foamy.
Yeah, that you have
foamy
to push
thing.
down through the water. Yeah.
Play with a deep water aquafit. So you're actually having to do it in deep water. So you can absolutely string. We rehab people's hip replacements in water all the time. Water running. When I have an injury, I'll water run instead of, so it's great. You just have to use it properly. So if I'm kind of standing and hip, in waist deep water and kind of
Oh, yeah. But usually
Fine, it's
aquafit
fine.
classes, they will like
Yeah.
actually strengthen you.
push against the water and get extra resistance against the water, and absolutely you can strength train in the water.
Yeah, and get your
Yeah,
heart pumping and everything. It's more work than you'd think, those aquafit classes. Oh, that's a good one. If you were to work with a trainer, would it be via Zoom?
So it could be either. So we do have a Zoom training for clients. And sometimes that's because of geography. They just live, like we have a client in the Yukon, we have, clients that we just don't have any trainers. We have trainers across the GTA. So we go as far west as Hamilton. We cover the whole of, Mississauga, Etobicoke, blah, 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 all the way through to Scarborough. And then we go as far north as, is it Aurora now, Sid? How far north do we go? It's pretty
Do we go
far.
to Milton?
Yeah, we do Milton. We do the
Yeah.
whole of the GTA,
That's
essentially,
pretty great.
in person. And then we also do
Also,
virtual.
there is an in-person option.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, all over the GTA. And then if you have someone that could benefit from training that isn't in the GTA, like a parent out in, the boons or something, then yeah, Zoom could be an option. Even if they're not tech savvy, it's really easy to show them how to set it up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We actually have a program called Roadmap to Health. I'll send the link in. It's a trial program, so it could be a good starter. It's 8 sessions.
Yeah.
Often people will purchase it either for themselves or they'll purchase it for a loved one if they want to just experiment and see what it's all about. Good questions. And thank you for the thank yous. That's amazing. Any other questions? No, that's a thank you. You're welcome. So I will send the recording out tomorrow.